First off, I want to say this is a game I wasn't even going to pick up. Honestly, I only picked it up because of word of mouth, and so many people saying it was really good. But I really thought Chicory looked simplistic, kind of childish, something that I would definitely not be into, especially when I learned there was very little combat in the game whatsoever. But people kept saying it's a great game, this is going to be awesome for the Switch, and really, really excited that it was shown at the latest Indie Direct. So, I took a gamble and I picked it up. And let me just say, this game is a lot of fun. I really spent far more time with this than I thought I would. The idea of this cutesy kind of game where you're kind of playing in an actual coloring book that you color didn't seem like a lot of fun to me. It seemed rather dull and I don't know, boring. But it definitely isn't that game. It's difficult to put my finger on why I like this game. I think part of it is anxiety levels. It is a very calming and soothing kind of game that also lets you be creative and lets you just paint the world however you want to do. And yet it does give you a narrative, like something that you have to strive for. So to begin with, the game asks you what your favorite food is, and whatever you answer ends up becoming the main character in the game. You play a bunny who finds a paintbrush that is actually meant for somebody else. It's their brush, and they're the ones who color the world, and something happens and you realize there's no color in this world anymore. You have the paintbrush, and the person who's supposed to have it, Chicory actually, doesn't want it. And you kind of learn that Chicory has become depressed, which I thought was very interesting to bring that kind of nuance to a game of a character just being depressed, too depressed to get out of bed, and doesn't want to run in the rat race anymore, so to speak. So you are tasked with the responsibility of painting the world again, bringing color back to this black and white world. As you go forward, though, you discover there's far more going on, and the story itself is incredibly compelling. Having to do with light and dark and good and evil and all of that. The biggest thing about this game that I would say kept me going is the puzzles. There's a lot of puzzles throughout it. Just trying to figure out how to negotiate from point A to point B is usually enthralled with a ton of different puzzles and platforming that you have to do while you're using your paints and your brush to navigate these kind of situations. You open up different paths, and you can find anything from just accessories for your main character to side quests and other characters. Like some of the NPCs have their own personalities and their own stories to tell and to explore that are really interesting and really engaging. I can definitely see why this game got so many awards and why so many people were pleasantly surprised with it. Like I said, the narrative of this game goes deeper and deeper and expands further and further. I'm not going to give too much of it away just because, well, I feel like that's a lot of the game. Like, so much of this game is, yes, painting this world and puzzle navigation. But the narrative behind it is what pushes you to keep going and pushes you to expand that role and to find out more and to open up new paths and to see the world for what it is. But at the same time, I gotta be honest, I spent so much time, so much time just painting. Just creating my own kind of color book in a game where, I don't know, I would say I was definitely pulled by the narrative, but at the same time I'm like, oh no, I want to do my own style in all of these lifeless worlds that I'm walking into, and completely change a town, and to make sure that the coloring style wasn't just blah and simple. I wanted to actually, I don't know, I guess express myself in the game and just have some fun with it and be creative and colorful. That at the same time, certain characters have different requirements of you. Hey, I want you to paint my house a tough color. So you got to kind of figure out what is a tough color. I want multi-tones on my house. Make the plants grow. All of these things are things that you can do with your paintbrush. The entire environment, in fact, reacts to your paintbrush. So you can do a multitude of things. Some of them are right there in front of you and easy to figure out. Some of them are a little bit more hidden, and it's a little bit more of of a puzzle to figure it out. But I really enjoyed this game, and I was really surprised. Like I said, coming back from this indie, I don't know. I was let down, to be honest. I was expecting certain things that didn't happen, and I shouldn't have been, honestly. Like, I think we all do that. We have this idea that, oh, Silksong's going to be announced, Sports Story is going to be announced, all these big titles that we have in our head, and, oh, the random drop, it's going to be something I really want, and it's going to be something amazing. But that's not the beauty of Indie World, honestly. The beauty of Indie World is them releasing and showing us games we've never heard of. Games that we couldn't be excited about because we'd never heard of them and we have no preconceived idea of what this game is going to be about. And that's what's really cool about it. It's about discovery. It's about finding a new game developer or a new series that maybe you would have missed completely had it not been for this Indie Direct. And so that's definitely the story with me and Chicory. I would have never bought this game. I would have never checked it out. And if it wasn't brought out at this presentation, I don't think as many people would have talked about it. And that would have never made me even think about getting it. Also, not having this channel and not deciding to do reviews, specifically indie reviews and the Indie Direct reviews, I wouldn't have got it. Honestly, if there was a few other, flashier titles that would have caught my attention, I still may not have gotten it. But the word of mouth and the awards that this game has won, and just the passion and love behind the community, made me pick it up, and I'm glad I did. It's definitely worth picking up and checking out. It was a shining star in a pretty, what I thought was bleak world, but again, I could be wrong. As I'm looking at a lot of these indie games again, I realize just how the preconception of big name drops might hurt these worse than it should. And we should definitely give some of our time to a lot of these games because they deserve it, because they put out really good products. Anyway, that's my thoughts on Chicory and the indie games in general that I've picked up through this Indie Direct that were surprisingly really, really fun. Thoroughly enjoyed my time. Anyway, guys, please like, subscribe, do all that stuff. I appreciate you. Take care of yourself.